when you were using anything, how did you know whether it was working or not?
Some things felt like they weren't working, didn't they?
Yeah, I guess I must have felt that. Realised that they weren't working. I thought, oh, I'll do something else.
Right.
One things we tried and thought, no, this, what you just felt like it wasn't happening.
Right.
Yeah.
It was probably the other hand sort of thing.
Yeah,
like,
that's right. Yeah. So you actually could tell when things weren't working. Yeah. And could you tell fairly quickly?
Oh, it might have been through 5 or 6 contractions,
a little while.
Yeah.
I think I know we'll try something else now.
Yeah. And Suzie knows the information, is using it. Was that a factor to have a care provider who actually knew the information?
Yeah, it definitely made us feel a lot more comfortable. Made us think, well, if we forget something, Suzie will know, or if she thinks there's something we should be doing, she'll be able to remind us, whereas someone that wasn't aware of the pink cat information would have just been an onlooker, really.
Right.
Yeah. And it worked the other way, in that we went to see Suzie first, and she put us onto the information.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I suppose that would tie into just her whole, how we felt with her, and her views on birth to start with initially were corresponding to what we were thinking, and with Pink Cat was sort of a common ground.
Right. And did she work with you personally on a one-to-one with any of the Pink Cat information antenatally?
Yeah.
Yeah. And did that make a difference to have a care provider do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, most of the people are going to get this information via video, through the kit, and they're going to have, staff, midwives, obstetrical nurses. So you didn't have a care provider who knew this. How do you think you'd have done? With 4-hour labor, you would probably done fine anyway.
I think it'd be harder to it depends on the personality of the person, I suppose, but it would be harder to work with them.
You have to have a lot more confidence in yourselves as a couple, whereas all the way through we knew, oh, well, Suzie will be there to help us if we forget something, but I think if she wasn't there with her knowledge, we would have worked a lot harder maybe beforehand, do you think?
Maybe, but I guess also there's that respect thing. You knew that whatever we chose to do or decided to do, Suzie would back that up, so you wouldn't have to agree or disagree with them. But then I suppose if you're spending, I'd like to think that anyone that was taking on board this sort of information properly was also aware enough of the whole process to discuss anything prior to the birth anyway with their midwife.
Because the midwives have changed. They've changed from being in a non-supportive role. In other words, if you're a staff person, you come in and out of the birth and leave the couple to it. Yep. With independent midwives and continuity care, they're required to be at attendance the whole time, which means they have to develop what does it mean to be a support person. And the philosophy of the college is that they sit back and let you do it. So actually it's been quite difficult to encourage these women as independent midwives to interact. So a lot of the couples actually were saying that the midwives didn't come forward. They were pleased we were doing it, but they didn't come forward except, way down the road in the labor. Wish they had come forward a bit sooner. So, but your experience with Suzie was that she came forward, she was like another person at the birth, being
at appropriate times too. Yeah. She spent a lot of time away, which we were really pleased with. Right. And that was mutual, I'm sure. As she said, we were both coping fine. Things are going really well. I'll just be over here if you need me. If you need a hand, call out. And it actually made the birth, I think, more special because it was something that we were doing. Right. But then I guess that stems back to the whole fact that it went fairly quickly. It was fairly easy.
Wasn't hours and hours.
Yeah. So that's a factor, isn't it?
Yes, it is.